Alright guys, I'm Braden Sipes, and today I'm going to go over my case study, IOC Rule 40. Alright, for the introduction, overview of Rule 40 is established by the IOC in 1991 to prevent ambush marketing, restricts athletes from promoting or recognizing non-official sponsors for the Olympics. The problem was it limits athletes from their free speech and sponsorships earnings during the Olympics. My thesis statement is IOC Rule 40 should be amended to allow athletes to acknowledge sponsors while maintaining protections for official Olympic partners. History of the Olympic Games. Ancient origins. The Olympics date back around 3,000 years to ancient Greece. Modern Olympics revived in 1896 by Pierre de Coubertin, with the first modern games held in Athens. Evolution of rules. Rule 40 was created to protect official sponsors of the Olympics investments, but has since led to restrictions on athletes' freedom. Rule 40 overview. Definition of Rule 40 is designed to prevent non-official sponsors from benefiting from Olympic marketing. Imposes a blackout period, which is 9 days before opening, during, and 3 days after the games, during which non-official sponsors cannot be mentioned at all. Who it applies to? It applies to all coaches, athletes, Olympic officials, or unofficial sponsors. The punishments can include potential fines and disqualification for athletes who violate the rule. The purpose of Rule 40 was to prevent ambush marketing, where non-official sponsors try to capitalize on the event without paying for the rights. It protects the integrity and exclusivity of official Olympic sponsors. Ensures that Olympic branding is not diluted or over-commercialized. Types of ambush marketing. Predatory ambushing, which is directly targeting the competitor's customers. Coattail ambushing, which indirectly associating with the event. Trademark infringement, using logos or symbols without permission. Self-ambushing, when official sponsors exceed their sponsorship rights. Impact on athletes. The restrictions on athletes, they cannot mention or promote non-official sponsors during the Olympic Games or the blackout period, not even on social media. Non-official sponsors cannot use athletes' names, images, to advertise at all. The penalties can include fines, penalties, or disqualifications if they violate Rule 40 by acknowledging the non-official sponsors. The effect on sponsorship earnings. Athletes lose potential income as they are unable to promote non-official sponsors during the games. This limits athletes' freedom of speech during the Olympics. One example is the British goalkeeper Jack Buntland when he was asked to remove a tweet about thanking Beats for sending him headphones during the Olympics. There are some alternatives when it comes to Rule 40. Alternative 1 is the athletes could thank sponsors on social media without using specific brand logos or names. The challenge is this could still be seen as indirect ambush marketing, as a brand could repost it or something. Another alternative is protest. The athletes could protest by ignoring Rule 40 or publicly complaining about the rule in general. Another risk is it could lead to penalties or disqualifications undermining the Olympic performances. One example is in 1992, after the USA won a medal, Michael Jordan came to the podium and he covered his Reebok logo with the American flag because he was signed with Nike and started to become his own brand. And there's an example of it. You can see the flag over his shoulder covering the Reebok logo. Proposed solution is pre-approved sponsorship content. Allow athletes to submit content recognizing their brands before the games even start. That way each person can stick with their brand, stick with their guns. The content would need to follow the IOC guidelines and be reviewed by the National Olympic Committee before it is agreed upon. You could do content control. The content must not use Olympic-specific terms or logos. But the athletes can thank their sponsors for all their contributions, gifts, money, everything like that. The sponsors would not be allowed to promote or directly connect to the athletes or to the Olympics at all. So, like if Nike wanted to be with Jordan, they couldn't connect themselves to the Olympics because they're not part of that brand, not part of the games. The benefits for the athletes can retain ability to thank their sponsors without breaking the rule. It maintains protection of official sponsorships without ambush marketing from other brands. Recommendations: I would modify Rule 40 for social media. Social media has transformed how athletes interact with fans, other brands, teams, countries, all of that. So if you could modify this rule, I think it could bring more money to the brand. Rule 40 should adapt this new reality, allow athletes to thank sponsors following strict guidelines without breaking the actual rule. Another recommendation would be more flexibility for the athletes. Give athletes more freedom to promote sponsors, especially for those who depend on sponsorship earnings as their money. There'll be like some small countries, they'll have an athlete come in and they can't even thank their actual brand that they have underneath them, so it directly affects their income. I think you could also balance between athletes and official sponsors. Official sponsors maintain their exclusive rights, but athletes still are allowed to earn income and recognize their non-Olympic recognized brands in like a very controlled manner. In conclusion, Rule 40 restricts the athlete's ability to earn sponsorship income and limits their freedom of speech during the Olympics. A proposed solution allows pre-approved sponsorship recognition while still following the Rule 40 and the official Olympic sponsorships. By updating Rule 40, the IOC can maintain brand integrity and provide more opportunities for athletes to benefit from their sponsors directly. My final thought is adapting Rule 40 to modernize sponsorship practices would benefit the athletes, the sponsors, and the Olympics as a whole.